Hi parents and students. Today we will be going back over some multiplication. We'll start with the traditional method in case you still have any questions or you may just need a refresher. And then after we do traditional multiplication, we'll focus on looking at lattice multiplication, which we will be going over in class. But just in case some parents want to see what we're doing inside of the classroom, because lattice is different and does look different than traditional multiplication, hopefully this video helps clear some things up. So let's jump into traditional multiplication. So the problem we will be working with today is 36 times 24. Okay, so I will write the steps to the side just to make it more clear in case you want to see what we are doing in each step broken down. So first we're going to do 6 times 4. Okay, and 6 times 4 is 24. So what we are going to do first is write the 4. So 6 times 4 is 24. We will write the 4 here, and we need to carry our 2 to this column right here. So this is the ones column, and this is the tens column. So we'll carry our 2, I'll write it in blue so you can see, right here. So 6 times 4 is 24, we carry the 2, and now we can move on to do 4 times 3. And 4 times 3 is 12. But before we can only stop at 12 and write 12, we have to make sure that we add the 2 from this column, the 2 in the blue that we carried over. So 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14. So we can write the 4 here, and yet again our 1 will carry over, but because there's nothing in this column, we can just bring it down. So as you can see, this first set of steps that we did right here is when we did 36 times 4. So now we can move on to our second set of steps, in which we will do 36 times 2. But it's not really a 2, so make sure we keep that in mind as we move along. So first we are going to do 6 times 2. But when we look at the 6 times 2, we are not really doing 6 times 2, which can cause some confusion. So we have 6 times 2, which is, yet again, 12. But when we look back to our problem, our 2 is not in the ones place, but the tens place. So we are actually doing 6 times 20. And to account for this, we need to add a 0 here to remind ourselves we are not doing 6 times 2, which would just be 12, but we need to do 20. So we move it over into the hundreds and tens column. So we can write our 2 here, and yet again, we need to carry our 1 to this column. So we already did 2, we're going to replace the 2 with a 1 right here. And now we need to do 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6, but yet again we have that 1 there, so we need to add the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus the 1 is 7, and we bring that 7 down right here. And now all we have to do is some addition. 4 plus 0 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6, and 7 plus 1 is 8. Remember, we are doing addition here. Okay, so now we have our final answer of 764. So now we can move on to lattice. And lattice is just a different way of really rewriting traditional multiplication. So when we start with lattice, it is a more visual process. So we will color coordinate it, and hopefully you will see all of the steps that we are doing. So first in Lattice, we need to draw a box. So we're going to start with our 36 on the top. And then on the side, we will draw our 24. And this will help us create the nice box shape we need to do Lattice. Okay, so now we have a box set up. We have 4 numbers, the 3, 6, 2, and the 4, so we need to make 4 boxes. So we will split it once horizontally and once vertically. And the final step, which may be confusing, we need to draw these carefully, students, when we're doing these in class, is we will divide each box diagonally from corner to corner. So here, I will divide our box. That was box set 1. Here we will divide both of these boxes right through the corners. And finally, this box. Okay, so let's do these in color and hopefully they will be more clear as to what steps we are doing. So first we're going to start right here and do 6 times 2. So again, we're going to use this 6 right here and 2 here. So 6 times 2 is 12. We will write the 1 in the top box for the tens place, and the 2 in the bottom box for the ones place. Next, we will do 3 times 2. Let's do that in red to make it easier. So again, this 3 times 2, which we know is 6. And because there is nothing in the tens place, let's keep a 0 here as a placeholder, so when we do our final steps later, there is no confusion. So again, put a 0 in the top because it does not have a tens number, and we will put our 6 in the bottom. Next, let's switch down to do our bottom boxes. We're going to use this 6 again, and now move down the line to do the 4. So 6 times 4 is 24. So we will write the 2 in the upper tens box and the 4 in the ones box. And finally, our last box, we will be doing 3 again times this 4, which we know is 12. So again, we write the 1 in the tens and the 2 in the ones. Now here is where it's very important to pay close attention to detail. I will do this in black so we can see. We are going to add by the diagonals. So if you start in the very bottom corner, this is always where we're going to start when we're doing our addition step of Lattice. So if you see right here, here's 4. There's nothing else in this column. So right outside of the box, we're going to carry down the 4. And now we move on to our second column. So we have 2 plus 2 plus 2, which we know is 6. So we're going to write our 6 right here. Next, we're going to bump to our next column. We have 6 plus 1 plus 1, which we know is 8. And our last column up here, we just have a 0 as a placeholder. So we still know our final answer, if we bring everything down and line it up, is 864, which you can see is the same answer we got up there, which is perfect. So what we can look at now is how our traditional multiplication aligns with our lattice multiplication. So if we look back up here, we can see that this step, the 6 times 4, we can also see in this green box down here. Here's our 24. We can see that our 12 from 4 times 3 is shown down here. 4 times 3 is 12. We can see our 6 times 2, which is 12, is right here. And finally, our 6 from 3 times 2. So I hope this was helpful in introducing lattice and reviewing some traditional multiplication.